Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you couldn't tell by the title, this is going to be part 3 of my post-study abroad experience overview insight kind of deal. I have all of my notes written down for the most part, so hopefully I will be a little more organized than my previous 2 about my study abroad. And if I repeat anything that I did in my previous ones, let me know, or I'm sorry if I do. And yeah, I'm gonna get into it. The topics today that I'm going to be discussing is classes and grading, roommates, my study abroad program, which was CEA, others within my program that were not my roommates, obviously, and then I'm gonna touch lightly on nightclub, like nightlife, which personally I didn't do a lot of because that's just not my thing, but I will kind of touch lightly from what I've heard, what I did do at night. So I will start with classes and grading. Woo. The university I went to in Prague was Anglo-American University, so this is all based off of that, and I think for some, at least for like the size of classes and transferring the credit and probably grading style, that could probably go across to the other schools within Prague and the Czech Republic. I'm not positive, don't quote me on that one since I only went to the one university. So I'm going to start with the size of classes. Class sizes are pretty small. They are close to my home institution, but I go to a private school, so the classes are smaller than, say, a public institution like a state university. None of my classes exceeded like 20 people that I'm aware of. Some of the more popular classes probably got closer to 25 people, but my classes were 20 and under. My smallest class, which was my corporate finance class, started with 6 people, then the one person from Chicago dropped it, so then it was me, 2 Czech people, a Russian, and a Kazakhstanian person. Kazakh. There we go. So there's 5 people in my corporate finance class. That was the smallest class I had, and actually turned out to be probably one of my more favorite classes, which is weird because I don't like math. And the variety of classes at Anglo-American University, which is AAU for short, I feel like had a pretty good variety. For the most part, it felt like there was a little more diverse things being taught there as opposed to at my home university. The only thing it really didn't have was stuff on like sciences, biology, chemistry, that sort of thing, and also not a lot of math. I think it really focused on business, political science, psychology, sociology, anthropology, kind of like that group, but a lot of that kind of stemmed from the political science kind of side of things. There was the English kind of things like literature, and then there were also languages, foreign languages, like Spanish, Czech, which I guess isn't a foreign language for them, but let me have it, and like French and German, that sort of thing. For me, I felt like I had a little more diversity in terms of, like, in political science for what sections were taught. At my home university, a lot of it is European and North American. But and with like a sprinkling of like some old Africa, one class on Middle East, and one class on Asian Americans, which really only focuses on the Korean Americans, Japanese Americans, and Chinese Americans. So it should really be East Asian American experience in the US, but I digress. I was able to take a class on South Asia, which you actually don't hear a lot of besides India. So that was really interesting, and that would definitely probably never be a course offered at my school. There was some other classes, like I took a corruption class, that would not have been, nothing like that is offered at my school. And there's some other things that just felt like it was a little more diverse in that sense, as opposed to just focusing on Western things, but that's it really did really focus on still Europe and America, and some classes kind of touched on more of like the Eastern, to like Eurasia and South American, but not too much. What else? Oh, Transferring credit to your home university. Most European schools, unfortunately, are only 3 credit for every class that you take in Europe, as opposed to the American 4 credit classes that you take, which really sucks. So I had to take 5 classes in order to get my full 16 credits instead of only taking 4. The reason why I also got 16 is because my school has us get a recovery of that 1 credit that we would be missing, since we are still taking 5 courses. That's only if you are taking the 5 courses. If you take 4 courses, you only get 12 credits. That's just how it is. Which sucks, because I personally thought some of the classes I took in Prague were a little bit tough. And I felt that they were the same difficulty level as an American course, or even maybe a little bit tougher, especially having to understand the accent of all your teachers. Just because how they grade things, which is another thing I'm going to be talking about, it just felt like it was a little bit tougher. So I really feel like the European credit should have been 4 instead of 3, or if you're taking 5 courses, then you should get at least 18 credits, because it's ridiculous, because it was a lot of work, in my opinion. Because for all of my classes, each and every one of them, I had to write a final paper, and one class I had to write a midterm paper and a final paper, and all my classes had midterms and finals that were very big, and it was just ridiculous. But that's kind of part of the grading, which is now what I'm going to go into. There's not a lot of homework, per se. A lot of these classes are really, really heavy on participation, which is difficult when you are me and you're an introvert and you're shy and you don't like participating. You have like a mini heart attack every time you even think about participating. That's me. So these classes were definitely hard on that, just because they expect you to participate so much, and I'm just like, I can't. I'm so scared. I can't breathe. Like, it's really difficult. And there's not a lot of homework, as I've said, but there are tests, presentations, and papers. That's what I had to do. Every single one of my classes had a presentation. Every single one of my classes had a final paper, which ranged between 2,000 to 2,500 words, and all of them had finals and midterm tests. One of my classes didn't have a midterm test, but it did have a midterm paper. The midterm paper was 2,000 words. My final paper for that class was 2,500 words. And you don't really know what you're getting, just because some teachers don't post your grades, like, at all. And you're like, what did I get from a participation grade? What did I get on this paper? What did I get on my midterm? Like, where am I at? You don't really know, and it's kind of difficult until, like, you go up there and be like, what is my grade, if they don't post it. Otherwise, you just kind of have to guess, and it's kind of nerve-wracking to just kind of guess what you're getting for that grade. But I personally do like the American style, where you do get homework, pretty regularly, so you kind of know what you're getting, and you have a little more leeway to make a mistake, as opposed to in Prague, where I had no leeway to make a mistake. Basically, if you bomb this midterm, you're going to have a heck of a time bringing your grade back up, because there's only 5 grades in the grade book for your class, as opposed to, a couple of, homework worksheets, and then like a couple of papers, a couple of tests, and maybe 1 or 2 presentations. It's a lot easier to, if you do just have a really bad day that day, make up for it, and it's not how it is in Europe, and that's tough. That is tough. Especially, I personally wouldn't want to go back to that sort of thing, just because it just kind of leaves you hanging on what you are at. That's kind of school in a nutshell for grading in classes. The next one I have is about my roommates, which will probably be really quick.
Maybe I'll just talk about how freaking well my program matched up my roommates and me. I could not have asked for better roommates. I don't know, they were all so sweet, and they were all, like, weird, but in a good way weird, and we were all more, like, chill, quiet-ish, to a point. We were all more, like, introverts. We all needed, like, time by ourselves, and we had great time with each other, and it was amazing. We all just got so good with each other. Like, we had so many weird, crazy things going on. I was the only Midwesterner. Well, kind of. I was from the upper Midwest. I had a Texan. I had one from Missouri? But she's also Tennessean. I don't know. More of like a southern Midwest person. I don't really know. I'm sorry. And then we had 2 East Coasters that were oddly enough from the same school, but they didn't know each other or doing the program, but they ended up in the same apartment, which was really weird. But my program really matched us up to a freaking T. I could not have asked for any better roommates, and they feel the same. It's just like we got so freaking lucky that we don't have someone that's super dramatic or super loud and super crazy that needs to be drinking all the time and needs to be partying all the time. Like, thank you, CEA. You did a dang fine job at matching us up. Along with that, like, sharing a space with them was also very, very easy. Luckily for us, we all got our own room, and I think we were the only apartment that was able to get our own room. Most apartments had like 5 to 7 people or 8 people, and they all had to share rooms with each other, like 3 in a room, 4 in a room, and I'm like, thank you, CEA, for giving us all our own room. Otherwise, I think we would have gone crazy, and then we would have gotten annoyed at each other and been at each other's throat at some point. But we weren't, because we all had our own space and able to breathe, and it was great. I think that was a big part. We all thought that was a big part into why we were able to be such good friends, that we all had our own space. Otherwise, it was very easy to share space with them. I mean, we all had like the common areas. It was all good. It was not one problem with them. If you aren't used to having roommates, though, that could be an issue because you have to share space. You might choose to share food, which is what we did. We chose to all put in a certain amount of money, and then all that would go to groceries for all of us. And for me, that was kind of hard since I was used to buying my own and not having my own food, so I can control. I'm pretty big on like controlling my money, so it was kind of hard to have to be like, okay, I guess we can get that. Okay, I guess we can. Okay. And I'm feeling like, oh, I didn't get to eat any of that, but I paid for that, and So that's one thing I kind of wasn't too big on with my roommates, was that we shared money, food money. That was a little difficult, but it eventually all worked out, and we got used to that, and it wasn't too bad after a while, but it was just, like, I need control on that sort of thing. I need to know where my money's going, and sometimes I felt like, where did it go? Or where did this food go? And that stuff. But it was good in the hood for me and them. And we also did a lot of traveling together. We mainly just did travel together. We didn't travel with really anybody else. Just because we didn't know too many people, and we just, like, no one else kind of gets our vibe, and no one really fits in with us. So a lot of the people, this is kind of part of the other people in my program, a lot of them were kind of the same people, but we weren't like them. So it was very interesting. I'm sorry for giving someone like a hipster or whatever. It just is very difficult to try to, like, get to know some of those other people. So it's very nice traveling with them. We went everywhere, and it all worked out. There's a few times we kind of got frustrated with each other, whether it was making a decision or planning a trip or something. But overall, it all worked out, and it was really good.
I would not have asked for better roommates. They were so sweet. And I had a hard time. My grandmother passed away while I was there. It was like the first few weeks being there, and I got told that she passed, and I was a mess. But two of my roommates went out and bought me flowers, and that just made me more of a mess. But it was very sweet. And then there's another time.
Stressing out for all these classes, because I was the only one of my roommates that had 5 classes still. The rest of them dropped one, so they only had 4. And they got me like a little, like, hey, pig, and it was amazing. And 3 of them got us stuff for Easter, and I'm like, I didn't know we were doing this, and they were amazing. I could not have asked for better roommates.
The next thing is my program that is CEA. I don't quite remember what their acronym means. If I find that out, I will probably put it over here or over here, somewhere. But my program was really good. I'm just going to talk to you guys about, like, how it works, what they provide, how it all works, and some other stuff. For CEA, they were actually partnered with my school. The Texan that I was roommates with, hers was not. She went through it on her own. She talked to her school, and then she kind of did this as apart from her school. If it's partnered with your school, your school kind of does all of, like, the application fees and all of that stuff if they have that kind of deal with CEA, which my school did. So I didn't have to worry about a separate application fee and all this other stuff. And also CEA takes care of almost everything for you. I'm sure I've mentioned this before. But they find your housing. They give you your transportation card when you get there. They give you your keys. They do your orientation. They have someone show you, like, this is the closest tram stop and metro stop to your home. You take this tram or this tram to get to school. They really took care of everything, and they took you, like, okay, so this is our office here, so if you're having any issues, just come here, put in these numbers to open the door, there you go, and then take this one to another stop, and then that's school. And then they were very good on explaining things, and CEA was very easy, and I would highly suggest CEA, especially if they are already partnered with your school. It was just so easy, because there were some people that were from the Texan school that went to a different program, and they went to Charles University, and they had to find their own housing. They had to wait to get their own. They didn't have their transportation card right when they got there. They had to wait for that, and it didn't seem as great, because it would have been so hard to find your own housing when in a foreign country that you don't know the language of, and it was crazy. I kind of already talked about what they provide. I said, you know, they already give you your housing, they have all like that utilities and all that stuff paid for. The only time you might have to pay is if it's excessive, like if you always leave the lights on, you're gonna have to pay for that. Or if you leave the water running all the time, you're gonna have to pay for that. But they take care of everything. They also provide these kind of like extra things. They're kind of like a course, a class. They have like a quick like hour introductory Czech language crash course, as it were, just to give you like a couple simple phrases that are also very helpful to have, like how to say thank you, or do you know English, and all of that, how to pronounce things. They had that real quick. One day they give you a lot of tours around the city, or a lot of chances for that. I think they give like 2 or 3 walking tours around the city in Prague, because it's very easy to walk around from school to like the big touristy parts at least. They also kind of give like, there's a cooking course that you can take one day. You can go to a ballet. You can go take a tour of the Strahov Monastery. There are day trips that they offer, and then a trip to Krakow that they offer. And all you have to do is kind of give like a security deposit. Is that the right thing I'm looking for? You give money to them, but you get that money back. The only reason if they don't give you back is that you don't tell them that you're not going to these things, so they don't give it back to you. Basically, if you don't tell them like a week before, then you don't get your money back. If you just are like, if you went on a crazy bender the night before, going to, you know, Kutna Hora, and you decide not to go to Kutna Hora, or you oversleep and miss it, then you're not going to get that money back that you put into that trip. It's basically just to save your spot, and it's like, we saved your spot, but then you didn't show up, so we could have had someone else in that spot kind of deal. So I got all of my money back because I went to all the things that I signed up for. I just really signed up for the trips, I think. Yeah. So my roommate signed up for the cooking class. There was like a walk through a botanical garden. And some other stuff like that. I just signed up for the trips. We went to Karlovy Vary or Carlsbad, Kutna Hora, and Krakow. Amazing trips. I did vlog. Hopefully those will be up. If not, check back. They'll be up. I promise. Oh, their communication organization as a general thing for CEA was really good. They do get to you in a timely order, email them, they'll email back relatively quickly, in my opinion. They're very organized. There was only a couple things that kind of got confusing, but I think that was because of the language thing. Otherwise, it was very good. I only really had issues with some communications with like our landlord people a couple of times, because they're like, you guys didn't tell us that there was construction outside of our apartment, and now we don't have water for the whole day. Like, could have told me that before I peed, there's some small stuff, but it was not CEA's fault. But it would have been nice to have like a heads up, or them say, hey, let your residents know, or our residents know, that if anything happens in that area. That would have been nice to have. But overall, CEA was very well organized, very good communication. Everyone that works for CEA was super nice and super helpful, and they were very enthusiastic about it all. If you had a question, they were definitely there to help you out. There were 2 ladies in particular that I absolutely adore, that I'm like, can I be your friend? Can I be your friend? And they definitely liked us too, because we were the good apartment, as it were. We didn't have any issues. We didn't complain a lot. We weren't loud. We didn't have any complaints about us. We didn't break anything. So I'll tell you guys about that in the others, my program part. But there's 2 ladies I absolutely adored. One, it was funny because we had pictures of like a Krakow trip, and our pictures with me and my roommates were the only ones that had a like at the time, and I'm like, who the heck liked us? And it was this lady that I absolutely adore, and we found out that she lived on the same metro line as us, and I'm like, that's awesome. Like, she was amazing. She's so sweet, and she liked us. And there's another one that was super crushing. I'm just like, my queen. Me and my one roommate were just like, queen. Like, we were in love with her. It was great. They do offer scholarships if you are a little bit worried about being able to afford, your trip to Prague. These scholarships have you write a short paper, depending on, there's like 3 different scholarships that you can get. I got a diversity scholarship. It wasn't like the biggest prize, which was like $3,000, I think. I got the one I got $1,500, which is still really, really nice, and it covered at least half of all of my expenses that I had there, from like traveling, food. I guess those are it. But it did cover a large part of my expenses. So I'm sure even if you only got like $1,000 or $500, that's still a really big help. So the scholarships are good. They're relatively easy to get. I think you just need, for mine, I had to have a recommendation letter from somebody, and then I had to write about my experience with diversity, which, I'll be upfront, it's very easy when you are a mixed kid. And there's also, at the end of the program, they have a thing for if you're willing to be an ambassador. It's for alums of that specific program. Like, they have them for Spain, France, and whatever. They have some for Prague. I thought about it, I didn't do it, but it's a good opportunity if you do choose CEA and then you choose to be an ambassador at the end of your program. You apply, and then basically you're an ambassador on your home campus to kind of spread the word about CEA, and Prague specifically if you choose Prague. And they help you out. They give you materials for recruitment and all that stuff. And if you're really good, I think they can even send you to like a convention. They can have you even help go back to Prague and help with people coming into Prague there. It all depends on stuff. That's not a guarantee, but that is a possibility. Next thing, I can kind of combine others in my program with nightlife, I'll be upfront. Others in my program, most of them were rich kids from the East and West Coast. I'll be completely honest, I'm just like, I can't be friends with any of you, I'm sorry. They were all the same kind of people. Like, they all partied like every freaking night. They all did drugs, and I'm just like, I was very out of place, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? The first freaking week we were there, a group of kids broke an elevator, and they tried to get out of it, and then they cut their hands, and got like blood all over the place, and I'm like, how do you do this? What? Who in their right mind is like, first week abroad, I'm gonna get crazy drunk and high and all this stuff, and then cause a ruckus and ruin everything? And I'm just like, that's America. Please do not judge us all on the actions of the majority of the people here. It was brutal. I'm just like, and then there was people spending like $1,000 on new clothes just for Prague, and I'm like, what? I'm like, can your parents pay for my college then if they are willing to give you $1,000 to pay for clothes for 4 months? Like, can I be in your family? Come on. There's a lot of entitled kids and a lot of rich kids that change like 4 times a day. When we were in Krakow, me and my roommates just started laughing because we're like, did they really just change into different polos and khakis? Like, what? I'm like, okay, you changed out of a snapback or a baseball hat into a polo and khakis. They were all like those same kind of like super testosterone bros, and all the girls were like the same too. And I'm like, I'm sorry for making generalizations and stereotyping and assumptions, but that's just what we observed. We're like, they all took naps so then they could all pregame for 3 hours and then go clubbing. And I'm just like, how is this sort of like sustainable? I don't know. They're just, all the girls, I thought only we were from 4 days, and then at least one whole day is travel, like half a day on 2 different days of travel, and some of them brought suitcases. I'm like, I just have a freaking backpack and a snack bag. Like, how? Not just girls had suitcases, dudes had suitcases. And we were having such a hard time because it was early and we were just observing everybody, and all the girls had the same shoes and the same outfit on. We're like, individualism is not appreciated in your society. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry if you are one of those people. I'm sorry. I'm sure you are also nice. A lot of them are nice, but a lot of them aren't, and a lot of them just want to get drunk and smoke and drugs. And I'm just like, this is not my scene. I just don't want to be part of it. I don't want to feel pressured into it. I just couldn't do it. None of them were my kind of people. Me and my roommates were like, thank God we got each other as roommates. It was just, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, did these guys really change their whole outfit, including their shoes, just to go partying, just to get wasted? Like, what? And these girls, we saw them walking with bottles of booze into their rooms. I'm like, you're not, like, we were coming back in because we were done for the night. We're like, it's 9 o'clock, we're done being up and about, and they're just waking up, and I'm just like, they're just awful. There's some people that I'm like, oh, you're sweet, but then you're like, oh, wait, you all drugs and like to get drunk all the time, too. Okay, well, I'll just keep the illusion alive that you're a nice person. And it was just, I'm not saying East Coasters and West Coasters are bad. I had East Coast roommates, but a lot of the people that were in my program were rich kids, and rich kids from the East and West Coast, predominantly, with a sprinkling of Southerners and the God-chosen sprinkling of Midwesterners, which is another thing. You won't believe how excited and happy all Midwesterners got when they're like, you're from the Midwest? Like, anytime there's someone like from Wisconsin or Chicago, we're like, we all got like, super excited. Like, this one kid is from Chicago, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm from Wisconsin. And this another kid was behind me who's from Wisconsin. And he's like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, I'm from West Wisconsin. He's like, oh, I'm from East Wisconsin. I'm like, but that's so cool. We're like so excited that we're from Wisconsin. And another kid's like, the next day he's like, I heard you're from Wisconsin. I'm from Chicago. I'm like, that's so cool. Midwest forever. Like, there's another girl from Wisconsin. We're just like, ah. And another girl, ah. And there's a girl actually from my area. She's like 20 minutes away from my house. In the town that's like 20 minutes away from my house that I used to work in. I'm like, ah. We got so amped. We're like, oh my God, it's so much nicer here than it is in Wisconsin. Like, it was a lot of excitement to know that you had a fellow Midwesterner in your corner. You're like, yes. Let's complain about all the coasters, like, well, like, Southerners are okay. The East and West Coasters in this program, though, a little dicey, but we're, like, Midwest forever. Every Midwesterner was like, yes. Because it's very different experiencing, like, you're not in your regional area, and you're like, I never knew people were like this outside this. Everyone's like, oh yeah, you guys are so nice. We're like, yeah, don't worry about it. One of my professors was like, yeah, I've noticed Midwesterners are like super nice, and then are like they're the best kids out of this program. I'm like, you got it. And one of the girls, and one of my roommates, her teacher said that she loved people from the Midwest because they were so nice. And I'm like, hey, it's true, we're nice people. What can I say? It's just like even Midwest jerks and like assholes and people I don't want to deal with are nicer than some other people in the US. I'm just like, yeah, thank God I'm from the Midwest. Like, I'm polite. I push in my chair and say excuse me when I burp. Like, it's very interesting that the sense of like pride and like unitedness of Midwesterners when you're like, there's no Midwesterners here. All of my roommates are not from the Midwest. Where are we at? And then you find one, you're like, oh, it's like heaven sent. Even if I don't like them, like, I'm just like, thank God, I know that there's a Midwesterner here. Like, I am not alone. Because everyone's like, I'm from the East Coast, I'm from the East Coast, I'm from the East Coast. I'm like, I'm from the Midwest, and I'm from the East Coast, I'm from the Midwest. I'm like, get really excited. But, once again, besides those Midwesterners, there is just, the majority of the kids in my program just wanted to get drunk and get high. And that was a big, big shame. Bunch of drunk, high, rich kids. I didn't want to be a part of it, so I just was like, mm-mm. That kind of goes in with the nightlife. I personally didn't do a lot of that just because it's not my scene. It's a lot of drinking and a lot of drugs, and I'm just like, and then you have to like pay to get into a club, and I'm like, I'm kind of cheap. I don't have mom and dad money. I have my broke as hell money. I'm like, I have $5 and I'm gonna spend that on food, not on a sweating club. It's just. There's a lot of clubs, like the big ones that everyone goes to is like Roxy, Lucerna, and there's some other one. Retro. That's the other one. Me and my roommates were just like, we're not clubbers. We wanted to just once to do it. We never did. Instead, we did go to a like bar cafe thing at night, and we went to see like a rock kind of show. It was a bunch of just like local starting up bands, and it was a free show. That's why we really went. Otherwise, it had like a free show like once a month. Luckily, we went on the night where it was the free show, and it was really good. There was 3 bands we watched. The third one we left because it was awful. Like, it got more hardcore as it went. Like, the first band was a female-headed, like, pop punk band. Loved it. Loved them. I'm just like, I will follow you to the ends of the earth. Another one was, like, this kid was, like, yay tall, totally unassuming, but he had the most wonderful screamo demon voice. And I'm just like, my soul, you have it. I believe I vlogged briefly about that as well. This other band was, or maybe there's 4, and we left on the 4th one. But there was one, and it was very rockabilly-esque, as it were, but it was bad. I'm just like, the guy looked like he was trying to embrace 80s hair metal again, but in all the wrong ways. His hair was huge, he was super skinny, his pants were super tight, just, it was all wrong. I'm like, sweetheart, no. You can channel great 80s style without being so horrifyingly stereotyping of that era, but to each their own, to each their own. We couldn't do it. I'm just like, you have an upright bass, you know, like string bass. So I'm just like, but your music is just not getting me. Your voice and your look is just, can't be a part of that. But that was the one really fun thing we did that night. At least 3 of us did. But for the most part, nightlife is drinking, clubs, bars, you know, your average thing. It's just not my scene. I didn't go. There's also a lot of drugs involved, a lot of kids on, like, Molly. It's just like ecstasy, I don't know, I don't really know. It's just a lot of that, and I'm just like, sorry, it's not my vibe. So we just never really did that nightlife thing. It was not a priority. And just hearing about it, I'm just like, that's disgusting. Because everyone just got really, really drunk, and then that's how they broke an elevator. I'm just like, that's disgusting. Otherwise, we would just, like, walk around at night, because Prague is definitely different at night. And, like, one time, I stayed out pretty late a couple times, but it wasn't, like, get drunk kind of night. It was just, like, I had dinner with a girl that is from my home university that visited. We talked a lot, and that's why I was out late. Another time was because I was in this thing with my class, which I vlogged about briefly, very briefly, just because it was loud and dark, you can't see anything. But it was a show, it was, like, an electronic kind of show, and my kind of electronic, not, like, EDM kind of electronic. But I did that once, and then I was stuck with this Wisco kid, because I'm like, yeah, Wisconsin, like, what's up? But then he got a little boozy, and I'm like, oh, I'm leaving, bye! And I avoided him forever, but he was into my class. That's rough, but that's when I avoided him. Anyways, but otherwise, nightlife was not my thing. I'm just like, I'm out, bye. So, I'm sorry, if you are really big on nightlife, I am not your go-to for any advice or anything. And that's it. That's all on my part 3 dimension list, I believe. Yeah. So, TLDR. Classes and grading's different. Duh. Roommates, wonderful. CEA, wonderful. Other kids in my program, East Coasters, West Coasters, boozy, rich kids, not my thing. And nightlife, I don't know much about. There's that. If you guys have any questions or anything that you want me to talk about in my next post-study abroad kind of overview, please let me know in the comments below. If you thought this video was helpful in any way, shape, or form, please like it and possibly share it with other people debating on whether or not to go to Prague. Subscribe to me because it will be a big help. Follow me on all of my social media if you want to stay up to date with what I do and how I do them. And that's it. Thank you again so much for watching. And if you have ever been to Prague and studied abroad there, tell me anything, like what program did you go through, or did you find such a difficult time with their grading and classes, and you know, what were your roommates like, what if you had roommates, all that stuff. If you have anything to say about any of the topics I mentioned today in this video, please leave me comments below because I want to know how everyone else felt about studying abroad in Prague, which is really fun to say a couple times. Anyways, enough rambling. I will see you guys next time. Bye!